Hello, my name is Solomon Mason. I'm from Group Titans. We are doing a study in cybersecurity, risk assessment, online banking system, and mitigation strategy.
Hello, my name is Samuel Karuki Mungai, DSC 010104-2026, from Group Titans, presenting cybersecurity risk assessment, online banking system, and risk mitigation strategy.
Okay, my name is Alan Media from Traders Group, and we aim to sketch performance of cybersecurity risk assessment, online banking system, and mitigation strategy.
My name is Duncan Kipngana Rutich from Titans Group, presenting cybersecurity risk assessment of online banking system and mitigation strategic skit.
Well, welcome Mr. Laron, and in this interview there's some questions I would like to ask you according to your analysis on your case study of cybersecurity risk assessment, online banking system, and mitigation strategies. And one of the questions I'd like to ask you is, it's already in your report already submitted to us. And I'd like to ask you, how you identify the SMS-based MFA as a primary vulnerability? Why is this considered weak in the current threat landscape?
Well, SMS-based MFA is common. It is highly open to SIMSOP and interceptions. In our simulation, the MFA failed. The SIMSOP simulation, which is why I've categorized to severity of high, and I recommend transitioning to biometric notation such as fingerprint, faceprints to provide more secure authentication.
I'd like to ask another question. Which systems may very well be highly likely to be vulnerable to your analysis? So, during your penetration testing, assume that during the penetration testing, you flag the user login API with critical severity. What exactly did you find?
We discovered that the API endpoints lack input annotations, making them vulnerable to SQL injection. In the technical testing phase, the system failed because it allowed for potential unauthorized database access. The impact of successful SQL attack is rated as catastrophic with a critical threats.
Well, can you expand more or expand on how your methodology for benchmarking attacks, financial crime security controls works?
I utilize a three-pronged approach: penetration testing to simulate external attacks on the web, firewall, vulnerability scanning with automated tools to find outdated software, and compliance monitoring. For later, I specifically benchmark our current control against standards to ensure we meet internal security requirements.
Okay. So the remaining question would like you to be as honest as possible, and appreciate your transparency in this one. So I would like to ask you, so in this report, you recommended the use session hardening, and here I'd like to ask you, how does the current session management compare to your proposed changes as to your report?
The management was able to recommend that the current mobile sections have turned out of greater than platinum, which resulted in a warning status guilty test. This increases the risk of section hacking. I proposed reducing the automatic section spam up to 15 minutes of inactive for mobile users to minimize the windows of opportunity for an
of your time. So, the report that is submitted suggests grading encryption from AES 128 to AES 256. So why is this necessary if the core infrastructure is already described as robust as per your analysis in the report?
This is necessary because although the infrastructure is solid, our database testing flagged as an medium risk one. As threats involve upgrading to 256 for data at rest encryption ensure we are using the highest standard of protection against data breaches.
It's okay. Then here is the last question of which I would like to ask you, Mr. Leron. Based on the risk assessment table, which grade should we prioritize for immediate recommendation and remediation?
Okay. The threat that we should prioritize for immediate remediation is that we must prioritize residential staffing. It is a high likelihood and a severe impact, placing it an extreme risk level. This report was actually commissioned specifically because of an industry-wide increase in these types of attacks.
It's okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Leron, for your time, and I appreciate for your participation in this interview. And we'll give you a call maybe after several couple of months. Yeah. Have a nice day, please.
So the simulation failed because SMS calls are transmitted over cellular networks that can be intercepted or redirected. Our testing showed that attacks could bypass this by cloning a SIM or through social engineering at the carrier. So at the carrier level, I recommend moving to biometric authentication to the blind that the identity to the physical hardware of their devices.
So another question on Mr. Mason. Our user login API failed SQL injection test with a critical severity. What is the immediate technical fix for this?
Okay, thank you very much. So the failure occurred because our API endpoints lack input sanitizations. The immediate fix is to implement parameterized queries. This ensures that user-supplied data is treated as a literal string rather than executed code, effectively neutralizing the injection attempt.
Okay, well then, Mr. Mason, those may be the possible measures for 1 and 2. So, and here is another question. If we can only afford to fix one thing this quarter due to budget constraints, which will it be?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sam. So, of course, we must always prioritize SQL injection vulnerabilities. In the user login, APIs, it is a very rand critical with a catastrophic impact. While MFA is a high risk, a successful SQL attack that could compromise our entire databases, leading to a total data breach of all our customers' records. That's why we recommend the default fix.
It's okay. Thank you, Mr. Mason, for your suggestions. Here, as the interviewee, you should show that a notice is coming, like someone has which have come across you. So, what's special about you? What's special about you? Strategies that you understand that can balance between security and usability. So, I would like to ask you some additional questions, and I would like for you to be as honest and as possible with me. So, here's the first question. So, we recommend upgrading encryption from AES 128 to AES 256 if it only costs a medium, if it only carries a medium risk or warning status.
One.
Well, Mr. Mason, you obviously guess some clues from this on how you answer. So, there is some, it's okay, there is some truthful to what you've said. So, the next question that I would like to ask you, Mr. Mason, is how do you determine the validity for this assessment? Because as you can see, you've already answered that you should have read from EES 128 to EES 256. So we have provided a very comfortable answer which I'm comfortable with. But I'd like you to expound more of this on how do you the methodology for this assessment.
So as I said earlier, methodologies for assessment are most important in AA5 and AA6. So I used a prolonged research for the study. Penetration testing is to find active holes in a firewall. In most cases, firewalls are used to protect the user data from malware and attacks. So vulnerability scanning for outdated software and compliance mapping against ISO IEC 27001. This ensures we aren't just fixing bugs, but also meeting international security standards in our tech companies and in our institutions all over.
Welcome back, Mr. Alan, and I believe you are the second member of the group because you are the second member of the group which you formed between you and Mr. Mason. So, here's the question which I would like to ask you. Say, for example, if only we can afford to fix one thing this quarter due to budget constraints, which will be
Okay. First of all, we must prioritize the SQL injection vulnerability in the user login API. It is run as critical with catastrophic impact. Also, while MFA is a high risk, a successful SQL attack will compromise our entire database, leading to a total data breach of all customer records.
Okay, thank you for your time. Once again, Mr. Alan, I would very well take this opportunity to thank you for your time, which you have taken, and say thank you to Mr. Alan. So, I guess this is it for this interview. And I want to have you here. So, maybe I may not find others like you there. Basically you have the others which were before you, have the interviews you have before you. I think they failed in one or two of the responses which they responded with, and their responses specifically lacked ingenuity. They lacked the professional knowledge of which you are supposed to do, of which you are supposed to talk to. And I would thank you for your professionalism, and in my case, most likely one. Yeah. that is most likely one I would like to work with. So it will not be necessary, but I would like just to say why your group will be the most likely one. So here's the first thing. Mr. Mason first said me about vulnerabilities lacking severity or severity in some of our software, and he recommended parameter queries, of which this is very much correct according to our systems, and SQL injections, which it's very critical, which this is what I assume, this is the questions I came for, and this is what the answers which I most likely expected from you guys, and and to confirm with the other board members, you have 100% of my support for you to understand and start work at Apex company.